All right. We're coming on live. I'm a minute or so early here. Let some folks and friends and neighbors start coming in and get my systems all checked out. It's not working on LinkedIn. I got my first notification. All right. We are live, and we are coming live on YouTube and Restoration Advisors and Restoration Nation. Well, that's a mouthful. So I'm going to give everybody a minute to get in here get their seats, get pulled in. And I do have comments up. I want to test that. If anyone can just drop a middle finger, just drop a thumbs up or something. I think I'm getting all of my my comments in here. So, yep. Good afternoon, says Facebook user. I won't see. It looks like I might not see your name. So if you have questions at the end, or if you have any questions throughout, I might, if it doesn't matter what the name is, but if you want to say what your name is or something, I can get you more information. I am going to do this. I'm going to pop in. I'm going to pop in the website page that I want everyone to go to. It'll be on the little Stream Deck presentation as well. So, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I see a couple people here saying, "Oh, hello, Brandy." Yeah, Brandy, our little program here is not showing your name, but I'm glad it's you. So, thanks for joining. It's 3:01. This will be, of course, live, but it's also going to be recorded, which will stay in the group. So those that missed it, because it's Friday afternoon, it's great. Clark Brown, introduce myself. I own a coaching group with got a great team, Toby, Jocelyn, Nicole, and we are restoration advisors. And we coach and mentor businesses for their business, restoration companies. But that's not what we're about today. Today is not a restoration advisors coaching platform at all. I just want to introduce who I am. What I want to talk about today is the American Policyholder Association. I'm a professional member, and this will be rolling into next year will be my 4th year. So I'm finishing my 3rd year of being a member of the APA. That's what we're going to call that for short. So it's a mouthful. Last week, we had our annual membership summit. This is an invite only for members that are board members or professionals, or we have some affiliate members who help support the cause as well. APA is a 501c4. I may have said that backwards. And I'm probably going to have Doug Quinn is the executive director. And I know he's traveling this week again, always traveling. But Doug was going to try to come in and at least review this. I will never present the APA nearly as eloquently and as passionately as Doug does, but I want to try. Those of us that are members have an obligation to not only participate in the mission of fighting insurance fraud, but also bringing others in. Our industry is full of people who see insurance fraud all the time, have examples of, have cases, have files. It's important because as we have grown, we have more people involved and they start to really contribute to that. So we'll talk a little bit about what that looks like, but I wanted to take it upon myself, especially as I kind of represent the fire and water restoration industry. 1 second. Well, we have someone that's trying to get the link to the group, but they're not getting it. So, sorry, I can't do it live and get everybody the link. It should be in the group. So listen, I have an obligation to represent my industry, which I love so much, the fire water mitigation side. We have members in the APA from our segment, but there's not enough. It's heavily roofing, general contracting, and things like that. Our members make up a lot of not only contractors, but associate level things to that. So we have a lot of appraisers, public adjusters, attorneys, umpires, things like that. Some really, really bright people. And what I have found in my time with the APA is the right people are involved. The people you don't want to hang around with aren't ponying up money to contribute to try to fight insurance fraud. We'll talk about it a little bit during the presentation, but this association is not, as Doug would say, and he reminded everyone last week, this is not a group that you come to grow your business and you get leads and you network and market. There is a networking opportunity, but all of our efforts while we're representing the APA should be geared towards the mission of the APA. No one's coming here trying to build their business. And I want to make that really, really clear. If that's what you're kind of up for, you're probably not going to always be completely satisfied, because you're going to find a lot of people who are here for a very specific mission. I've got a slide deck. It's really going to outline some of what we do, but I certainly want to have more conversation while we're having it. So hope everybody can see it. Best Leedy. Best doesn't have the link to the group. Everyone hold on. I don't want anyone to miss it. And I want them to get it, but then we'll keep going. Okay, here we go. She says she got it. Thank you. Bess is a great friend of ours from Seaside in Charleston. Good stuff. Wanted to talk today real quick about the APA, okay? American Policyholder Association. I believe we're in about our 5th or 6th year. I should know more of the details, but I'm just not super great with those details. This was started from a really good group of people, some attorneys. Doug, who was actually a victim of insurance fraud, but he also had his house. It took him 7 years to get back into his house from Hurricane or Superstorm Sandy. He is not only a spokesperson for our association. He was a victim, and this is very, very, very close to his heart. He saw it firsthand, and now in the position he's in, he sees it a lot. Doug is not alone. Doug has a great team of Heather Shapner, Morgan Walker, and Megan O'Shea, and they all serve a huge piece of what it takes. If you've never been involved with a 501 or a nonprofit, as Doug likes to say, we work like dogs and we get paid like dogs. There's not a lot of money. No one's coming here to get rich. Nobody that's working on the association. That's why they rely on volunteers like us and me and you. I mean, I got an award last week. I don't deserve an award. There are hundreds of other people in there that put out a whole lot more effort than I did. But if someone ever asks me something, I'm there. I show up. So I want to talk about the APA in a way of telling you what they are and tell you what they're not, okay? A lot of people say, well, this and that and that. I'm hoping to clear that up today, and I'm really, really going to look forward to taking some questions. I always like to start with, get my slides going, this slide. Our presentations always start with this one. When you go and you start talking about insurance fraud, which is what we fight, the mission of the APA is to fight criminal insurance fraud. That comes in a lot of different ways. We'll talk about that in a moment. But you have a target on your back when you start calling that out. And you're going to see a lot of our comments today are going to be, fraud happens on all sides. It's not just insurance companies, but no one's talking about insurers having fraud. We hear about contractors that are criminals, scumbags. We hear about homeowners. Insurance companies will tell you all day long about how they're defrauded all day long. I get it. There are bad people in this world, but there's almost no conversation and accountability for people at insurance companies who also commit fraud. That's what we're doing. But to do this, we have to be above reproach ourselves. We have to have the utmost integrity. And I want to put this slide up. I love this slide because I believe that integrity leaves you where you can't be questioned for anything. As a market leader, you set the example for your employees, your customers, competitors, your family, and community. The guiding principle of your business, of the APA, and everything you do, it's in the best interest of the consumer. You take care of the consumer, it's going to take care of you. Make your decisions. Be in the business for the long run. Don't pass on the quick buck. Don't go. You don't make money on the quick stuff. We make it on the long term. Having integrity keeps you in the game much longer. If you ever read the book by Simon Sinek called The Infinite Game, you're either playing a finite thing where there's a limited number of time and a limited amount of time and a limited number of people, and you're trying to win a game, like say a football game. Great. 4 quarters over, you win. Great. An infinite game is, how about we keep winning annually, quarterly, decades, on and on, maybe generations. Do every piece of business as if a regulator is looking over your shoulder, because one day they might be. I think that if you approach everything you do, that you might come under a microscope one day, would have to stand up and say, ladies and gentlemen of the jury or a regulator, what are you doing? Nothing is secret anymore. What if you get hacked? All your emails, how are you behaving? If you use integrity, if you have ethics and you have morals, you don't have to worry about the gotcha, because you're doing the right thing. And if you're tempted to do the wrong thing, come back to this slide. And then remember, many eyes are learning from your example. Your employees, your friends, like it says up here, your neighbors, your community, your competition. I can't tell you how many times I've been reminded that everything that I do online and in the public, other people are watching it and they're like, oh, I like that. Maybe we could do it. And I've learned that way. I see what other people are doing with integrity. I'm attracted to that, and I want to go to that. So we're going to tell you, when you're fighting anything, you've got to have integrity. The police, the judge, prosecutors. If they don't have integrity, then everything that they've done is under a microscope, and it doesn't hold up water. The problem is all the commercials that promise that you're in good hands, we're on your side, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's a public perception. No one talks about insurance companies. I think everyone knows at some level that, oh man, I got to file a claim. This isn't going to be comfortable. This isn't going to be easy. That's just the old negotiation and the struggle and the time. But what you're not expecting is that when you file, things start happening that are just not only unethical, but begin to approach criminal. It happens all the time, lots of examples of it. I've learned so much about what little bitty things become criminal fraud. Let me pause here. A lot of the struggles we have in our industry, they fall into the category of bad faith. That is not what we fight. You cannot criminally prosecute bad faith, which are things that are legal by the letter of the law, but unethical in a business practice or process standpoint. That's not criminal. You can vote with your wallet. Your customer can go to another insurance company. We can go to another insurance company. People can fire us, but we haven't broken the law. We've just been less than moral, less than just, lacking of integrity. You're going to have your own judgment from that, right? So something's wrong. That's the problem is you filed a claim and you're outnumbered by a huge Goliath of a company with money, with, in some places, state and lobbyists and federal laws behind them, because there's a lot of money involved. Insurance company strategy. You've read the book Delay, Deny, Defend. We were fortunate enough last week at our summit in Dallas. Jay Feinman, Dr. Jay Feinman from Rutgers, the author of the book 15 years ago, was there and had a very powerful speech. And we talked a lot about that. Still is relevant. If you haven't read that book, pick it up. I have a giveaway that we're going to be doing in the next month or so of a signed copy. Stay tuned. Check around, stay in Restoration Nation, keep your eyes open. We're going to give that book away. We're going to find a really meaningful way for someone who deserves it if you haven't read it. I've given away this book a dozen times to customers, to contractors, to friends. We have a copy that stays on our desk right here. It's a playbook. It's what the insurance companies are doing, and I think it's still relevant. As a matter of fact, Jay and I talked about, or Dr. Feinman and I talked about, there's probably a 2.0 version. There are things now happening that didn't happen 15 years ago that make it even more pronounced. And I would say that is one of them is the influence of Xactimate being weaponized and TPAs. Far more prevalent than they were 15 years ago when it was written. Why is this so important? Doug does this presentation so much better, but there were some studies here you can see by Rutgers in October of 2017. They did a huge study on people that were victims of tragedies or turmoils from displacement from a natural disaster. This would be true from wildfires, possibly, certainly hurricanes, area-wide flooding. 4 years later, after someone's displaced, these are some true figures. I'm going to gloss over them. 40% of those people lacked the resources to rebuild. Sound familiar? 45% children's school performance suffered. The dropout rate of school is pretty bad after families have gone through the turmoil of this. 56% have trouble paying their bills because of the money they've had to come up with to sustain their life when they expected that the money they had paid into an insurance policy would be there for them. But fraud has caused that to not be the case. And then 70% have new physical or mental health issues. That number is probably higher. I think divorce rates are up. I think that I guess lots of just tearing families apart, lifestyles, and just never really recovering. I think people lose their jobs because of said things here. It affects their performance. It just changes your whole life. So it's a long road to recovery. The NAIC, the National Association of Insurance Commissioners. I think every state has an insurance commissioner. Some are elected, some are appointed. Their definition of insurance fraud. Insurance fraud occurs when an insurance company, agent, adjuster, or consumer commits a deliberate deception in order to obtain an illegitimate gain. Fraud is when someone tries to get an illegitimate gain from the claims process while insurance is involved. Happens on all sides every single day. We can't let it happen. We can't let it happen on any side. Our job is to try to catch the one group where no one's looking at, and that's the insurance company. And it does happen, and we have caught them. There have been arrests, and there will continue to be some arrests. Common perpetrators of insurance fraud, the public side, you've got professionals, crime rings, consumers, vendors. On the carrier side, employees, TPAs. It exists. TPAs commit fraud every day. Engineering firms and adjusters. Fraud happens on all sides. Here's just a couple of examples. I will put this slide deck into the groups where we've shown this. You can't really see this super close, but this is U.S. Forensic. I believe this was a case that was actually prosecuted. This was from a Superstorm Sandy engineering report from a structure. The engineer wrote a report on the original, on the one on your left if you're looking at it. This building was structural damage from hyperdynamic forces associated with a flood event on October 20th, 2012. This was structural damage. The report, the forged one, the one that went to the consumer, to the insured, and was eventually based on their decision on to cover or not to cover, to limit coverage, it was changed, redacted, was not structural damage. They just went in and added a word. They modified and edited this whole thing. There's a whole case around this. We have lots of these cases. Was this an engineering report that was dummied by the engineer or by the insurance carrier side? It happens both ways. We can't let it continue to happen. Insurance companies collaborate to fund multiple organizations to protect them from fraud. What this means is you see all these: National Insurance Crime Bureau, Coalition Against Insurance Fraud, AISIU. These are all funded by insurance companies. They are insurance fraud protection groups trying to promote propaganda to the public that contractors are scavengers, scumbags, vultures, and whatnot. In some cases, they are. We're not denying that. We all know some of those people. But I want you to look at these names. Should American families whose taxes and premium dollars fund insurance fraud enforcement have a reasonable expectation to be protected from insurance fraud? I'd say yes. So going back to this slide here, your premiums are paying for them, for these lobbying groups, for these associations, to tell you that people are fraudulent, and they are, but they're really, really controlling the narrative, and we want to balance the narrative. But there is an expectation that you think that if you have insurance, a good policy, I understand there's a lot of different policies, that the expectation is you will be held if they're in the deal, you're not expecting fraud. And who protects these people? Who protects the family if they don't feel like all the money they have is just to stay alive, much less hire an attorney? Who fights for them? The APA, for the consumer, for the insured, for free. Insurance lobbyists, those groups I showed you earlier, they love to put up these little real estate type signs, especially in the media, in the journals, in the blogs. These signs go up when there's a hurricane or when area-wide disaster. If you look at the bottom of these, there's NICB sponsored coalition. Everybody puts them up. Contractor Fraud Awareness Week. The whole week is designated to tell you and warn people about contractor and fraud. Beware of dishonest contractors. When people see this, when they have their house, there's no roof, and they've had an issue, they see this all the time. What do you think their mind starts to think? I can't trust anyone, but I can trust the Attorney General, Jeff Landry. The Attorney General wants to report contractor fraud. Where are the signs that say, report insurance fraud? Beware of insurance fraud. I don't see those signs anywhere. You know why? Because we don't quite yet have the almost endless amounts of money in pockets as these groups do. You're an easy target. This is a little bit more from Attorney General Jeff Landry of Louisiana. Just talking, just bad-mouthing contractors. And listen, Louisiana has its issues. And I think we as contractors need to do a better job of holding up our industry and holding others accountable that share our labels, share our field. We have to do better at that. We can't say nothing. The same thing with consumers. If you see consumers doing something wrong, I know you want the job. They're trying to get you to eat the deductible. That's illegal. At the end of the day, that type of fraud on all sides causes premiums to go up and in some way causes people to act irregularly. The APA has the first ever SIU, Special Investigations Unit. I've had a chance to meet these individuals. Last year we were in Denver for our annual, this year in Dallas. It has grown by a few people. These are former 20-plus year prosecutors in California and other areas. They were prosecutors and investigators for police departments and jurisdictions and other authorities for insurance fraud. They take cases, they look at the merits of the evidence and figure out, is there a case here for a prosecutor, district attorney, attorney general, to take that and pursue it. They get a lot of bogus stuff. It's just like, I didn't get paid in full. Bad faith, we already talked about that. We have our own SIU unit. The insurance company has theirs. They investigate fraud. We do too. They're asking for us, and there's a place on the website. You go to apaassociation.org, which I'm going to share with you in a moment. There's a big red button right there that says report fraud. There is a series of prompts that they want you, if you feel like you are seeing fraud happen within an insurance claim by an insurance company, report it. Give them the merits, give them the details, and they'll follow up. They'll do the investigation. They may ask you some more questions. If it's a worthy cause, they're going to march right over to the prosecution of the jurisdiction, and they're going to get that, and they're going to slap it on the desk and say, you want some fraud? Here it is. Prosecutors love to win. They love a winning, that win ratio, like a baseball or football team. They love to be 10-0. They do not like to be 0-10. They don't like bogus. They don't fight cases they don't think they can win anymore. We want to put together cases they can because we see them all the time, every single day. The APA mission, defend consumers from criminal fraud. Complaints to licensing boards of dishonest, unethical carrier hired engineers and professionals. We want to help people start complain about these. Don't just be frustrated and go back to your day and let it happen again tomorrow. Let's hold people accountable for it. Educate prosecutors and regulators that insurance companies commit fraud too. Doug will tell you that years ago, that wasn't said. That wasn't talked about. Prosecutors were not hearing about fraud. Some of them still don't because they are held up and protected by carriers, right? Or lobbyists, and they're big contributors to their campaigns. It happens. It's politics. But someone, if you keep beating that drum, someone's going to hear it and they're going to be sick of it. It might happen to their family. It might happen to them. We've had some attorney generals who have been victims of fraud. Think they fight for it? They do. And then we're going to testify to lawmakers on legislation that impacts consumers. That means Doug shows up with members in an area in a state. You know how many legislation sessions occur where they don't invite contractors to come speak for them? All this there is just a whole bunch of suits from insurance companies to talk about how greedy and evil contractors are and how much the insurance company is a victim. That happens. Not anymore. Every state, I think all but 2 states, Doug has been to all of them, sat with lawmakers, sat with attorney generals, the highest ranking law enforcement officer in a state, and has gotten them to start task force. Some of them are a little more serious than others. A task force specifically for insurance fraud to investigate when he brings a case to them. So now our SIU has a Batman hotline to prosecutors in states. It's really a great thing. It's happening. It's a 4-part series, and this is what I want to talk about here. I'm going to breeze through the rest of it. The first stage, proactive lobby, which is what Doug did. Traveled the country, got the word out, made sure people knew that there is now a player, a legitimate official player, follows all the rules, has the integrity, labeled as a 501c4, not in it for profit, trying to protect people, showing real cases. Identify fraud. Educate people what fraud was. Not bad faith. Show people cases of fraud. Prosecute fraud. They have now prosecuted. Some people have walked out of their engineering firms and their offices of insurance companies in silver bracelets that they did not buy for Valentine's. They literally are out in handcuffs, lose their license, marched out, FBI sees all their documents, CNN, the channel, the news, blaring, boom. It's a great thing. It makes people start saying, oh, it does exist. Well, that looks a lot like what happened to us last year. Statute of limitations aren't over for that. And then the last one is publicized. Doug and his team and some of our members have very great connections with some really, really strong media people and have really, really garnered the ear of some great news media writers and publishers that are looking to expose this kind of stuff and have done a really, really good job. Go to the YouTube channel, APA. They're putting this media, these interviews where Doug is on mainstream media as well as localized media talking about these things. We're trying to balance the narrative, get people to stop talking about just the other fraud, but remind everyone that it's on the insurance side as well. Here's some pictures, some associations, some contractor shows. Every year they try to go to this media, the industry related events, and they have booths set up trying to get people subscribed. But talk to people from our industry as they walk through the aisles about their cases and about what they see, and remind them that you're witnessing fraud. That's prosecutable. That's a criminal offense. That should be turned in. Join us and let's do that together. And we just continue to grow and grow and grow. Here he is talking at, post-cat and insurance fraud, with some legislators. It's funny to hear the stories. Some of these legislators say, we've never heard that. That's incredible. They've got constituents and voters who would love to hear about those things. Georgia, talking about these anti-consumer bills, on and on. Some of our esteemed members, we see John Wood, an incredible attorney from Dallas, Texas. He has crossed the country on his own dime, helping to promote and publicize this legislation. As a member on the website, you've got a lot of literature in the resource portal. There's a lot that's available for the consumer for free. Your customers can join the APA for free as a policyholder. There are literature there, there are stories, there are some how-tos, some webinars about how to empower them to protect their own rights. And then as a contractor, it gives you a lot of resources to have in your pocket, in your folders, in your handouts, in your truck, as you go to trade shows, as you talk to people. You have some resources to help people beyond just the work that you do for the contracting work. Help them where they really need it in those areas where we can't. Contractors can't be attorneys. We feel helpless sometimes. We now have a large amount. This is stuff that's from daily jobs and a lot of post and pre-CAT. So in area-wide disasters and catastrophes, it helps customers do their homework and find legitimate contractors, but also hold the insurance companies accountable. The team has also traveled to area-wide disasters post like Kentucky tornado and floods in Louisiana and Ida, and talked to homeowners and gotten some stories and used those cases and connected them with. We don't give referrals in the APA, but you need a good contractor. This is a great site to go to find people who are licensed or in good standing with the BBB or whatever that is. So there's really some boots on the ground. Take the signs out. Put an APA sign right next to one where it says contractor fraud. Cover of one says insurance fraud. That's what we're doing all over. The more people we have, the more people we can get these signs out in trucks and vehicles, and we can put more signs out. Balance the narrative. Disaster fraud detection seminars. We've held these citywide meetings. I've had a few of them. Doug has participated in talking to large groups in high school auditoriums, about what to look for. It's been really, really great. This is maybe some interest to us. On the restoration side, we don't see a lot of engineering reports unless you're doing full-blown reconstruction. But engineers have a structural job as to review the structure and make decisions that really sways whether this is a covered loss or not. And if they're working for the insurance carrier and they do $6 million worth of business a year for them, they might be swayed to make decisions that are favorable for the carrier. We want to make sure that's not good. We have a diagnostic tool on the website where you can upload an engineering report, and through AI, through machine learning, it will identify some copy and paste and some fraud and some things like that. It's a really cool tool. To show you more about that. Again, our reporting portal, report to the State Department of Insurance, report engineering fraud to the state board. They all have licenses. Engineers found to be fraudulent, they don't want to get caught being fraudulent because they lose their license and their ability to make money for their firms. We want to take care of that. Benefits of APA. Set yourself apart. Put the APA logo on your signature, on your email. Put it on your shirt sleeve. Adjusters start seeing, what's the APA? If they don't already know. By the way, there are a lot of them know. What is that about? They're not messing with the average bear now, right? They're messing with someone who's actually a fraud fighter. Distinguish your company for defending consumers and the public. Your consumers will I like someone that's protecting us in a nonprofit way. Be part of the nationwide effort. Display the logo. Have full access to the member portal and the member directory. All the other restorers that are part of it, you get together regionally in your market and find ways that you can lean in and help with these things through the help of the APA. Network, attend the meetings and conferences. We have a membership summit, and then we have quarterly meetings. So there's a couple series of quarterly. There's a kind of a State of the Union call that we all get on. You just figure out what's working in the behind the scenes and what's coming up, and find opportunities for special projects that you can contribute in your realm of expertise. You may be good at digital marketing. You may be good at media. You may be good at recruiting. Help out. It's really some good opportunities for you to lean in and not just put in your money and do nothing. I'm going to ask everybody to join the APA. Here is a QR code. Scan it with your phone right now on the screen. APAassociation.org. I'm passionate about it. I've been doing this 21 years. I've seen a lot of fraud. I've learned better what fraud is. Some things that used to what I would think were just bad faith, bad practices, were actually fraudulent. In restoration, I think that we have some fraud going on with things around bid rigging, TPA, putting out, antitrust issues, price fixing, Xactimate. It's some gray areas there, but I think they need to be continued to be exposed and explored. There have been fraud on the restoration. We've had some carriers take PDF invoices. Someone's messaging. We've had some people taking PDF invoices from contractors and going into Adobe or some kind of PDF editor and modifying it and put the prices on there that they want to, and then paid. True story. Turned into the SIU, and they're going to prosecute. That's fraud. Straight up fraud. It's actually probably mail fraud because it was mailed through the U.S. Postal Service. So they've committed a federal felony as well. Really, really, look, I wish fraud didn't exist. We're not out trying to get everybody. We just wish that I wish that carriers realize that they can make their money on the premium side or whatever ways that they invest the cash. But stop vandalizing consumers. I've said enough. I want to take a few questions here, see if anybody says some things here. It would mean a lot to me for everyone to really ask me, but just go join. There are times where I'm super busy and I don't know what's going on. There are times where I have to check out. There's some times where I check in. I got an award last week. I was super uncomfortable getting an award, but when the phone rings and they need something from me, I'm there. I'll find a way to make it happen. There are times when I can't do that, but I trust that my money, that my contribution as a member, you can go and look at the prices as a whatever member level you're going to be. I trust that it's going to fund this very expensive endeavor. Insurance companies have lots of money. Running a nonprofit is a David and Goliath mission. But if you remember how that story ends, will we stop it? No. Will we cause it to happen less? We already have. We also have some whistleblowers that have come aboard, and it's been great. We've got some whistleblowers they were from the carrier side who witnessed and documented with emails and in different, examples, actual criminal fraud. Turn that over. They're now have left the insurance side, but they said, we have credit, we have integrity. And that's not how we were going to completely live our life, watching that happen to people. We had to face these people. Their phones would ring about, why am I not getting paid? I wrote a good estimate for that. The carrier would change a $100,000 estimate down to $6,000. The consumer wanted to know, why did you do that to me? Well, the adjuster didn't know, or the independent adjuster. So it's really some good stories. Enough selling. I'd like you to join, but I'd like to take some questions here. APA is amazing. Best people I know. It is when you go, you feel like you're around people who are in it for the right reason. Like what we hope our industry was about. Like if you're going to make money from the contracting world, take care of that industry so it will continue to take care of you. You can't just sit by idly and watch the pillage, the carnage, and expect that it's always going to be here. We're watching, especially Florida, legislation just changing, making that a horrible state, a lot of anti-consumer laws, a lot of pro-insurance, and it's just not getting better. And it's going to spread. Once they see that there's success, very little resistance, other states are going to be like, lobbyists will say, I can get new politicians elected. Insurance companies do not want anti-insurance laws. We can stop that. We can put up a roadblock. Might not stop it. We can slow it down and help more people that way. Georgia is the worst state for protecting policyholders. There are some states, Crystal, that are worse than others. What's the URL? I'm going to type it in here again. Someone's asking for that. I'd like you to go look at the website. Again, there are a lot of really cool things on the website. I'm going to post it in here before we wrap up this webinar. But I felt really, really, really strong about doing this today because I felt like last week. I'm putting the URL in here again. It's APA Association. So APA SSOCIATION.org, not .com, .org. APA. Just Google the American Policyholder Association. It'll take you there. Sign up. I'm working with the team right now to improve our onboarding. We've had some people say, I joined. I don't really know what to do next. I don't know how I can contribute. We're going to improve that. We're going to give you some areas to go. We have a private members-only website, Facebook group, where a lot of not for public eyes or some upcoming criminal things, but some really, really big news that aren't yet ready to publish. Maybe the Wall Street Journal or the New York Times has it in their queue, but we get to see it first, and it's really been great. Some really good things. And just people asking, hey, who in Florida can help with this? Well, you want to know, but then where can you do it? How can you do outreach? What documentation, what pamphlets do you need next time you go to an event to get another 40 people to sign up? None of us make money off of this. I don't. I pay money. I pay money in to know that I trust the people. I've watched the action. I've watched the results, and I know it's happening. If you don't like what's going on after a year, just bow out and stop. But let's not do nothing. Last week, we got a really, really nice gift, and on it was engraved, if not us, who? If not now, when? We can't sit here and wait on the sidelines for others to self-correct or to come save us. It's us. It's now. It's we have to do this. Action. We might not win the war, but we're going to make them know we were here. We're going to hold them accountable. They're going to see the sticker on your truck when you pull up, your adjuster, when you're going to go to a job meeting. Oh, this person's part of the APA. I better kind of mind my P's and Q's a little bit more here. This is not some shade tree chucking the truck. This is somebody who actually puts their money in their efforts where their mouth is. That's the guy and the gal that I want to be associated with, and that's who I want to be teamed up with. There's anybody here? I see I put some links in there, association. Yep, we can't complain that carriers are abusive if we aren't willing to document and report it. Crystal Watterson is in North Georgia in the Cumming area. Incredible artesian roofer. They do a lot of boutique roofing and general contracting. And you talk about somebody with passion and energy and ideas. I think we actually bugged the hell out of the APA because we're always coming up with new ideas. Can we do this? Can we do that? Sometimes they're like, shut up, stop. We've got a lot more to do. Some of them are like, I like that. But what they don't want is ideas to drop in their lap without the effort to go to do it. If you have an idea, come with a plan. How can we put it in action? Rally up some other people and make it happen. That's how it works. That happens. That's with any association. So that's all I've got. If you want to reach out to me, do so on Facebook, do so LinkedIn, do so through Restoration Advisors. I will have a conversation. I've talked to 3 people this week, and they're like, where do I sign? I didn't know about this. It sells itself, but I don't look at it as selling. I look at it as, it's not like something I have to or I should. This is something I get to do. This is me actually, and those that are in it. Chris Jeter, Keith Sproles, Carlo, Gordie Powell, members. Lots of members in the restoration industry, more all the time, trying their best to contribute. And I think we can make a really big dent in it. So that's it for me. Have any more questions? You're welcome for the information. Information is free. Action takes equity, sweat equity. I would like the APA in a week to reach out to me and say, Clark, how many people are watching? There were 12 on here at one point. 12 new people have joined, and they told 10 more people about it, and they're joining too. Great. I can't wait. I don't get a cookie. I just get to know that we're making a difference. So I hope that my voice, my obnoxiousness of being all over socials pays it off in this way. The reason I do the things I do is so that I can do things like this. So I hope that makes sense. I want you all to have a fantastic day. Stay tuned. We're going to hear more. I'm going to try to do some interviews. We're going to do some more podcasts. They're going to come on Disaster Podcaster, and a lot of good content that the APA has, and a lot more still coming. And I will share when I can, what I can. But until then, join up and go to their public Facebook group. You'll see a lot of their releases of information. Thanks for everybody's time. I can't wait to find out that you've joined, and we're going to do this together. Take care.